On today's show, stories from deer camp.
Sometimes it's the only time that you see everybody.
Meet Don and Charles, longtime buddies who share opening weekend year after year after year.
Just to get out here and have a good time.
Plus, a camp cabin worthy of big rig stories.
Got a bar on this end, got our card table.
And a recipe perfectly fit for fall.
Exactly the sizzle I was hoping to hear.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hi everybody, Bill and I welcome you to Minnesota Bound.
Today we celebrate stories of deer hunting. And up first, Ron Shera meets Don and Charlie.
Two Minnesota hunters who love to make memories every deer opener.
Deer hunters are fond of saying hunting is not just about shooting, that it's about more than pulling the trigger. If so, what, it's fair to ask.
There should be someone on this road right here.
Maybe Don and Charlie, a couple of veteran deer hunters, can explain why they and other hunters gather in a November woods.
Sometimes it's the only time that you see everybody, kind of, you know.
Charlie Brown is 85 years old.
We'll go to the other two guys.
Don Godfrey is 86.
It's hard to find them when there's no snow or nothing, you know, but most of the time it's just to get out here and have a good time.
Don and Charlie have been deer hunting buddies for more decades than they can remember.
I suppose I was probably 6, 7 years old my first trip up here.
I don't know how many more years I can hunt. I enjoy it.
The only time the two missed hunting together was for military service, and they both served.
So there's 5 years I missed. And then from there on, I haven't missed a year.
All of which means it's deer opener weekend, and they're together again.
Come on, people. Grab a plate and grab some food.
Family and friends also join Charlie and Don at deer camp. It's traditional.
Doing this is just as important to us as getting together Sunday for breakfast. It's huge. It's huge. You only got so much time on earth with the people you love, and you spend as much of it with them as you can.
Old stories also are retold.
Usually, if this group of guys sees anything within shooting distance, that deer is usually down.
Well, except for the one last year.
I have a question. Well, yeah.
The one that came up and snuggled with Charles.
Yeah.
I'd never seen a deer come so close to somebody in my life.
Was he asleep during the time, or what?
He must have been.
No. I have a snooze. You wake up, and the first thing that hits your mind is, I wonder how many deer went past me.
Okay, enough memories. Time to make new ones.
Yeah, we got a lot of miles up and down this road.
Well, are we ready?
If you see a driver right away like that, there he is right there. You can see him coming. So that means there's going to be no deer.
A drive to flush out deer didn't flush much, but that's hunting. So goes the opener for Charlie and Don. Disappointed? You kidding?
You know, it's hunting with Grandpa. You know, it's always fun spending time with Grandpa.
It's so many memories that you'll take with you till you're gone.
What I enjoy is getting out here and standing there roasting sandwiches over a fire. Charles and I, that's one of the things that we look forward to the most.
It's along with a hunting trip. It's not that it's all about the hunting and the deer. It's tradition and being with family. Little Bernie one, that's going to be good.
Thanks, Charlie and Don. Thanks for sharing the essence, the heart of deer hunting season. Here's hoping you have many, many more.
So welcome to the Meat Locker.
Up next, a deer camp where members needed a place to shack up. Their inspiration came from life on the road.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, North Dakota Tourism, Star Bank, and by Rapala.
Up next, we're headed to a deer camp where hunters needed a place to stay. So they big-rigged a solution. Fall tends to be the season of end, the last of the summer, the time when colors die. But not to Steve Zwaber.
Yeah, I love it. I look forward to this every year.
His autumn drive down an old dirt road signals the start, the beginning of tradition, a tale that starts with Steve's dad.
Back in the mid-'80s, my mom and dad had a cabin up in this area, and they were driving by one day, and my dad saw that view, and he said that reminded him of Lake Tahoe, and he said, one day I'm going to own that land.
Steve dreamed that someday, somehow, the old farm could become something new. And you know what? It happened with the help of a big rig.
So welcome to the Meat Locker. That this is an old reefer trailer. It used to haul frozen meat in this area. We said, let's make it feel like a real deer camp.
So Steve and his buddies got to work.
We looked for recycled materials, repurposed materials, stuff people had laying around, and then came up as a group, and we got most of the build done in a weekend.
And turned a trailer into a townhouse of deer camp proportions.
Well, for our group, this is pretty typical. This is what you would normally think. We do unique things.
We'll turn it into a bunkhouse and it'll be a deer camp. It'll be perfect, and sure enough, a little work. It certainly is.
Inside, easy to see why.
This is the Meat Locker. Got a bar on this end, got a card table with fireplace, and all the bunks down on this end.
Well, if you were a part of the team that built it, you got to pick your bunk.
I think we only had one year where somebody slept on the floor on a cot.
That's the original boys right there. Steve and myself, Johnny, Chad, and my brother Zach.
Oh yeah, that picture tells the other part of the Meat Locker tale.
Johnny, you want to get some wood with me?
It's pretty simple. It's just hanging out with this group of guys that I've been friends with for a lot of years.
There's guys in this group that I've known since kindergarten, first grade, junior high, high school.
Enjoy yourselves out here. Have a little bit too much fun probably, but that's all right, huh? It's just spending some time with friends, being out in the woods, out away from the city.
At least until dinner time, when the Zwaber hunters head to town for a thick slab of beef.
We just started this last year.
They celebrate alongside hunters from other area deer camps. A new tradition, just what Steve hoped for.
Camaraderie. We have a great time together. You know, I'm lucky to have a great group of friends.
You know you're going to spend 3-4 days laughing at somebody or something hard, right?
A few groggy hours later,
I think it's time to go for a walk, huh?
hunters take to their stands. Alone, they watch the woods wake up.
Just being up here, and we've all had the opportunity to shoot a deer. It's just a bonus if you do get to get one.
Deer hunting is a great thing, but hanging out with the guys and catching up with families and what everybody's been doing, you hear the laughter in the background, that's the adrenaline for me, and that's the best part of the weekend.
Warm hearts born out of an old, cold storage truck trailer.
Cheddar makes everything better.
A story Steve just hopes will keep trucking along.
All right, so Laura and I have a pretty big announcement to make. It is a big month for us here at Minnesota Bound. We are getting ready to celebrate our 1,000th episode of the show. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable it is. 1,000 episodes takes a long time to reach. 26 years, in fact. We've been sharing the love of outdoors and storytelling.
Yep, so watch for our special Minnesota Bound 1,000th episode. We will look at the past, the present, and the future of our darn little outdoor television show that could, Minnesota Bound.
Coming up, we go sky high to get a view of Minnesota wildlife. But first, a tasty recipe fit for your fall harvest table.
Closed captioning provided by Treasure Island Resort and Casino.
Today we're getting wild in the outdoor kitchen, and I'm here with Chef Jim Kinberg, Executive Chef with Delwood Country Club. And Chef Jim, I am so excited for what's on the menu today. What are we cooking?
We are cooking elk. We're doing some cast iron elk with some sweet corn. Sweet corn's in season too.
Awesome, and it's coconut sweet corn, isn't it?
Coconut sweet corn, yes. We're getting a little creative with it.
Sounds good. All right, what are the first steps?
First step is season the elk.
All right, let's do it.
Please notice I got a little bit of olive oil here. If you want to drizzle just a little bit right over those elk medallions, those elk steaks. And we're going to sprinkle a little bit of salt and pepper on there. A little more generous with the salt than the pepper.
Cast iron has been on the flames for a while, so I'm assuming you want it pretty hot?
You want to hear that nice sear when that meat hits the pan for sure.
Nice and hot.
Yes. And that's exactly the sizzle I was hoping to hear. That's perfect. So go ahead and drop all three of them on there.
If you don't have elk in your freezer, you could also use venison, of course, right?
You can use venison, definitely. I mean, you could probably do something very similar with turkey breast. Wild turkey would be great, game birds of any sort. So it's been about 3.5 minutes, and we're gonna take a little peek, and you notice we got that beautiful golden brown crust I was talking about. And this is why I just wanted to rub those steaks with a little bit of olive oil, because I didn't want that excess oil in the pan burning up and getting gunky and getting that off flavor. So we just got a nice little sheen down there, and we're gonna add our onion right to that. So we've got some fresh sweet corn that I shucked earlier. We're gonna just put that right on top of those onions. All right, we're gonna give it the old finger test, and it's kind of bouncing back at me. It's still just a little soft, which is exactly where I want it. If I had a meat thermometer, I'd probably want to cook this to about 120, 125. Get all that flavor from the elk into that corn, and we're gonna deglaze with some of this coconut milk.
And is that just straight coconut milk?
That is straight coconut milk.
Perfect campfire meal. Ooh, this looks delicious. Time for a bite.
Let's give it a try. That was really good.
So good. Once again, you knocked it out of the park, Jim.
Thank you.
As always, it's wildly delicious.
That recipe will be up on our website tomorrow. Head to mnbound.com.
Straight ahead, a Minnesota Bound classic with quite a view of the natural world around us.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Radco Truck Accessories, Pearson Salted Nut Roll, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Today's Minnesota Bound Classic takes us back to 2002 with an eye from the sky.
Reporter Brad Woodard discovered how wildlife biologists get a slightly better view to research moose, deer, and other wildlife.
Ever-changing yet seemingly untouched in the stillness of winter. To witness the frozen splendor of Minnesota's North Country is to better understand man's place in the world. It is a small place that plays an enormous role, which in a roundabout way explains the flying moose you're about to meet.
We need more information. There's a lot of things we don't know about them yet.
For DNR biologist Glenn Daljadis and a team of researchers, that's about to change.
He starts moving around at all. Everybody back up quickly.
If a 300-pound gorilla can sit anywhere at once, a 900-pound moose can do that and much more. One day, the DNR is capturing and releasing moose. On another, and with much more success, it's deer at Camp Ripley. To call the efforts of the capture crew daring would be an understatement. The natural instinct of the deer is to seek refuge in the thick brush, hovering at treetop level and sometimes below it. The chopper tries to chase them into an open space so they can be netted. There is a limited window of opportunity as the chopper darts in and out of clearings, often waiting until the last possible second to pull up so the net gunner can get off a shot. Bucks are released, does are blindfolded and their legs bound before being hoisted up by the helicopter and carried a short distance to what resembles a wildlife MASH unit. That's where DNR researchers take over. The deer are sedated the moment they hit the ground.
She may not be quite ready yet, but...
Once immobilized, blood and urine samples are taken to assess, among other things, the deer's nutritional well-being, and a tooth is pulled.
Under the microscope, you can count the rings or cementum annuli, just like the growth rings of a tree, and we can age that deer back to when it was born.
At another site on Camp Ripley,
Looks like we have twin fetuses in here.
A major breakthrough using ultrasound equipment.
This is the first time with deer that anybody's looked at fetuses in deer in the wild. And just for population studies, it's going to make such a difference.
Information gathered in the study may help set hunting limits in the future. Researchers will also use it to assess predator-prey relationships in the area. This wolf is among 5 captured for a companion study to determine the impact of wolves on the deer population as they expand their ranges to the south. Her body packed with snow to prevent her from overheating.
Is she ready to go, Julie? Come on, you guys, everyone back.
Northern Minnesota is the stage. These animals, it's players.
She's one that we've caught before.
The DNR will be monitoring the plot twists through radio collars, and not just for their own amusement.
I think a lot of people, even down in the urban areas in the Twin Cities, like to know that even if they don't get up here very much, they like to know that the natural world is still out there.
Brad Woodard, KARE 11 News, Ely.
Thanks, Brad Woodard, one of KARE 11's all-time favorite guest reporters on Minnesota Bound.
Indeed. Well, that about does it for us. We'll see you back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.